Hello, everybody, and good morning. Welcome to the After College webinar on making the most of your on-campus events. We're so happy to have you join us this morning. My name is Stephanie Peterson, and I'm the head of marketing here at After College. The webinar today is going to be presented by my colleague, Matt Baum. Before we get started, I just want to encourage everybody to ask questions using the GoToWebinar question tool. Matt's presentation will last about 15 to 20 minutes, and then at the end, we're happy to take as many questions as we have time for. Also, I want to let you know that we're going to be recording the webinar today, and we'll share a link with you tomorrow via email, and you can share that with your colleagues who may have missed the webinar today, or if you want to go back and listen to key parts of this again, of course, you can do that as well. So I'd like to go ahead and introduce Matt today. He is the head of talent solutions here at After College. He has over a decade of experience in recruiting and talent development. In his role here at After College, he's dedicated to helping our clients maximize their investment in their college recruiting efforts, and he's well-versed in what works and what doesn't work in terms of on-campus events and recruiting in general. We're happy to have him here today to share all of his insights so you can make the most of your on-campus recruiting efforts as we head into sort of the prime recruiting season here on campus. So Matt, go ahead and take it away.
All right. Thank you, Stephanie. Like Stephanie said, my name is Matt Baum. Again, I want to thank you guys for joining us today, and please be sure to ask questions throughout. As has been mentioned, we're going to talk about on-campus events. The fall recruiting season is just about to kick off, and with that, obviously, one of the primary ways that you're going to be engaging with college students that you're trying to recruit is by going on campus and attending career fairs and holding your own on-campus events. So I'm going to talk about some of the different ways that you can be as effective as possible in doing so. Let's quickly go over what's on the agenda, kind of a quick overview of the different topics. The first thing we're going to talk about is just getting organized, how you get yourself put together and get everything in order to make sure that you are on campus, ready to go, you're everywhere you need to be, and people know that you're coming. We're going to talk about scheduling the career fairs and getting everything ready to attend those standard career fairs that are going on campus. We're going to talk about scheduling other types of resources, all the different ways that you can work with campus, career centers, faculty members. You can work with student groups, all the different organizations on campus to help you get scheduled, and then attracting the right students, the audience that you're trying to reach. And then we'll finish up by talking a little bit about running your own info sessions. So the first thing I like to say is always make sure that you have a plan, a system, a way of getting organized, a way of organizing and prioritizing your efforts. The majority of the employers that we work with use some sort of a tiered system, usually like a 3-tier system, to sort of break out the different campuses and where they're going to be spending their time, how they're going to spend their time on those different campuses, and which ones they're going to prioritize resources for. The first tier is what I call the relationship building tier. This is the tier that kind of gets the main focus of your resources. These are the schools where you really start super early. They're your top tier schools. They really merit building relationships starting as early as freshman year with students. You really have to develop meaningful relationships with these students to make sure that you can edge out your competitors and have the advantage when it comes time to give these folks job offers, even if it is 3 years down the road. If you develop a meaningful relationship, the students will seek you out when they're ready to find a job. The next thing you want to do is invest in the on-campus events there, do scholarships, do the corporate affiliate programs, work with the student groups, run your info sessions, do all the different on-campus recruiting events that you normally would. The second tier is also the on-campus recruiting, is also an on-campus recruiting tier, but it's less about relationship building and it's more about making sure that you are visible, that you're there, that you're everywhere where there's events, that you are doing everything possible to engage with those students without giving all of your resources, without giving it the full court press for 4 whole years. So you're a little more strategic about what events you will invest in. Yeah, you may attend 1 or 2 career fairs and run 1 or 2 info sessions, but not go to every single career fair, and you do a little bit more on-campus recruiting. The third tier is really what I call the virtual tier. The virtual campus recruiting tier, it's really about you maintain a relationship with career services. You don't necessarily go to those campuses. You're not necessarily on campus. building relationships with students. You're working with career services to help get your information out there. You're posting jobs onto those schools' websites. You're doing the things that you would normally do in terms of online job boards and online presence. But that third tier is really just about having that bare minimum presence on those schools that you're interested in, but don't necessarily justify giving quite so much resources to. So you always want to stay on top of that third tier, even when you're not in your recruiting season, because it is virtual only. That's kind of the way that I encourage people to break down their resources. All the employers that I talk to, it seems like they're being asked to do more with less, and they have to put up more and more results with less budget, less headcount, and the prioritization becomes really, really vital. The next thing I want to talk about is the career fairs themselves. How you go about when you're on campus, when you're doing these career fairs, scheduling, organizing, presenting yourself, the appearance that you give to students when you're on campus. And so, I think the first thing you have to do is get there. Scheduling these on-campus career fairs is first and foremost about working with the career centers. The career centers are going to help you. There's a lot of different outlets you can use, but the career centers, they really run a lot of these core career fairs on campus. So start there. Then you want to do the faculty relationships, because the faculty members, they have a really large reach of students. They're incredibly influential with students. So the faculty can not only help promote, but really help drive students to your career fair, to your booth on these career fairs, to let them know that you're going to be attending and that you're a good fit for their types of students. On the other hand, like the student-run organizations, when you do a career fair that has a student-run element, you have to keep in mind, student-run organizations are student-run. Students have a lot on their mind. They are very busy, and so they may take longer to get back to you. It might be a little more difficult. You want to work with all these different resources, though, to get a sense of your timing, what goes on at what time of year, which events are really big, which events are a little bit smaller, more intimate, determining which events are the right fit for you, whether or not you want to go to every single engineering career fair if you're an engineering company, or do you want to also attend some of the more general career fairs going on campus. And the other thing is, I always say don't be a copycat. You want to be an original, but you have to look at what your competitors are doing. If you're looking for accountants, what are KPMG and Deloitte doing? When did they start their recruiting schedule? What events are they attending? And so, once you've kind of got your schedule in place and you're actually on campus, you're there, you're ready to start showing off what you have to offer, this is when you have to kind of dial in your appearance. You have to have everything perfected in advance. You can get lost in the crowd. Do you have a recognizable brand? Make sure students know what you do and who you want to hire. Don't let them think just because you're an engineering company that you only hire engineers. You really have to get yourself out there and advertise, and you really have to strategize about how you want to present yourself. So, it's who do you bring from your company? Do you want to represent diversity? Do you want to bring alumni from that school? Can you bring recent grads who were just recently at that campus and really know what the students are experiencing? And then the other thing is your appearance. You always want to be in a suit or business casual. You still want to look like a recruiter and reflect that you're professional, but you also want to reflect your office culture a little bit. If your office culture is a little bit more laid back, then business casual. If your office culture requires a suit, then definitely dress it up. The other thing is, make sure that you're advertising your positions well enough, that the people know exactly what sort of opportunities you have. Things like banners that say, we hire all majors. You have sales and customer service opportunities where you can hire people from a variety of backgrounds. Then a banner like that will really help kind of make sure that you're casting the widest net possible. The other thing is you want to advertise, getting yourself out there with sites like After College or with the career centers on campus. Our After College event promotions, just a quick shameless plug. What we do is we'll promote your event and that you're attending a career fair on campus or that you're running your own info session by sending out your messaging to students and to faculty members in the relevant departments on those campuses that you're targeting, and make sure that those students RSVP and let you know that they're coming in advance. So that's another way to make your presence known in advance of actually showing up. Now, what you say when you get there is really important, and that's why you have to practice. I always say, you want to have a few good go-to questions that you ask students whenever they come, like, How did you choose to visit our booth? What is it about our company that intrigues you? Students will wait in line to talk to you, but you really want to reach as many as possible in the time frame. You don't want to keep them waiting. You don't want people to wander off because they've been waiting too long. You want to make sure that you keep it brief, but you really do want to make people feel like they've had a real human interaction with you. So another thing you can do is ask the interns at your company today what they liked about the career fairs where they met you and your colleagues. Get those positive aspects and put those out there. And then having a prepared response for a lot of the common questions, having job descriptions and pre-printed flyers, info sheets, things like that you can hand out. That might make it a little bit smoother and faster for you to kind of share this kind of core information that's going to come up time and time again. And then I wanted to actually share a couple of interesting tidbits from a survey that we do every year of student job seekers. These are some of the things that student job seekers found really important when they were trying to find fun, casual work environments. They wanted the ability to work remotely. They wanted regular social activity. To a lesser extent, things like a pet-friendly office were important. Then there's kind of the broader-based things that a student will look for in a company. The most important, moderately important, and least important factors are shown here. Kind of a no-brainer. Students care the most about salary and career path. That's sort of not a big shock. What was more surprising was that things like stock options and sign-on bonus are way down at the bottom of the list. Students don't necessarily see a lot of value in stock options anymore. And so, maybe the idea that everybody's going to go work for a company pre-IPO and then strike it rich when they hit the stock market may have been sullied a little bit by the most recent recession. So, these are some of the things that are good topics to touch on. It might not be suitable for the environment for you to be talking about salary with everybody, but you can talk to them about some of the things that make you a great place to work, and talk about all the same things that you would talk to a senior candidate about: awards you've won, acquisition that you made this year, some of the great clients that you work with. Along a similar line, show people what you do. Show them the work that they'll be hands-on with. Showing off what they're working toward is a really great way to connect students in a very tangible way to the work they'll be doing and to what makes their company unique. Whether that's bringing in finished products, if you're an engineering firm, you can kind of show them what you make. Or maybe if you're an engineering firm, but you're actually going to this career fair to attract accountants. At least the accountants can see what the end product is, what the end result of their work would be. If you don't have physical products, you can talk about the clients that you work with, or talk about the revenue you bring in. If you're in the service industry, you can bring photos of your happy clients and some of the events that you put on, and just anything that kind of shows your success. Don't be afraid to brag about success, because everybody wants to work for a successful company. Now, one of the most important things is after the event is over, how do you help the students connect with you and follow through? Enabling the students to learn more when they've walked away is really, really key, because you're going to have such short, brief interactions with these students. That is not going to be the whole experience for them. If you've done a really great job, all you've successfully done is encourage them to go and then go online and learn more on their own. So some of the ways you can really enable students to take it to the next level on their own. This might sound overly simplistic, but you got to take the resumes. Having their resumes clean in an internal database if you have one, and using those as a way to reach out and contact people when you have relevant job openings. If you just give them a flyer that say, hey, come here and apply, that's great. I'm not telling you not to do that, but you're going to lose some students who maybe just have too much going on or aren't ready to apply at this moment. So asking them for their resume is helpful. Tracking what happens to those students. Employing a tracking parameter in your applicant tracking system to catch those students when they return. Some of that sort of stuff is a little bit more technical, but if you can do it, it'll really help you in demonstrating the ROI of your program to your higher-ups, getting the budget secured for next year. I know that's always really important. So the tracking is going to be really, really vital. Another quick tip, when you do take their resume, check the email address on the resume. Is it a .edu email address? Keep in mind, a lot of these students are going to essentially ditch that EDU email address when they graduate. So see if you can get a personal or a current email address that is not at their school. The other thing is schedule interviews on campus during the career fair. A lot of schools are going to give you open rooms where you can go and interview their students, and these candidates, they're going to love being engaged engaged right there in the now. And then the follow-through is holding an info session of your own, maybe a week or two after, because you use the career fair as an opportunity to promote that info session. You bring a flyer to the fair, you hand it out, you send an email to those people whose resumes you collected. You mention which majors are welcome so that they can bring some of their friends as well, even if those friends weren't at the career fair. So again, help you really push out that info session appearance and sort of using the career fair as the setup and the info session as the sort of 1-2 punch. Doing the info sessions themselves is a little bit different from a career fair because you're center stage. It's your show. So there's a lot more planning that really has to go into making the whole thing come off without a hitch. I like to say that you want to get in touch and you want to stay in touch. So the first thing is determining who's going to be doing the speaking for your organization. Is it HR? Is it an alumnus? Is it one of your diversity candidates or an engineer at your company? Is it the CEO? What do you want to portray to those students to make it to the info session? How do you showcase your company's culture? The thing you got to be careful of is don't just talk and walk out. Don't just speak and leave. If you can, that's really the worst thing you can do. You want to have questions. You want to be engaged. You want to collect the resumes. You want to talk to people about how they can go to your site and apply and how they can become part of your mailing list. You want to answer their questions about what the experience is like working at your company. Tell stories that other students have to share. Collecting resumes, again, helps you keep up with those interesting students. This actually is an email that one of our current employees here at After College shared with us. She went to an info session run by Google, and this is one of the emails that Google sends. They have this very good, concise message that they give out. It kind of encourages students to apply to some specific jobs that might be a good fit for them. It really makes them feel hireable. It's very personable. It's a good way to really increase that apply rate for those students who maybe couldn't apply right after leaving your info session. And that sort of follow-up. The after-college employee who shared this, she's still getting these emails long after graduation. So, continuous follow-through, not just sort of, like I said, showing up, doing your talks, and then wandering off. And then, promoting your info session. This is where, even more so than promoting that you're going to be at a career fair, your info session, it's all about the promotion, because if you run an info session, you run up a big tab, you spend your budget, and nobody shows up, that is a huge black mark on your resume individually. So, you have to make sure that you use social media, you use email, you do on-campus flyering, you get professors and major advisors to pass out your email, do classroom announcements. If you're having a 6 p.m. info session, offer free pizza, get people to come in there. I know another after-college employee who said that she went to an info session just because one of her fellow students was too shy to go alone. And so she went because, all right, there's going to be free pizza. She ended up not only applying, but she also interviewed that same day, and a company she had no interest in before. But the free pizza was the hook, and next thing you know, once they talked a little bit more about it, it turned out there might have been a potential fit. And of course, you want to bring swag and things like that, things that make people have a fun experience, make people excited to be there, really take it to the next level. And so that kind of wraps it up. I know it was a short topic. We only had a little bit of time, and I've left 10 minutes here for you guys to ask any questions that you have. You will also receive an email to register for our next webinar that's coming up, which is going to be about on-campus branding. You'll be receiving that later today. You can also go to employer.aftercollege.com/webinars at any time to see our webinars, our most up-to-date webinar schedule. Again, thank you guys so much for joining. And Stephanie, do we have any questions?
Yeah. So you were just talking about swag or tchotchkes or what kind of giveaways to bring. Can you elaborate a little bit more on what, what's actually useful to students, or what are they interested in now?
Yeah, no, that's a key word, I think, usefulness. There is, and maybe this is something to do with ecology and with people becoming more and more green, but students are really frustrated with the kind of giveaways that they get that are essentially just, I'm going to go straight into the trash. Students want things that are useful. If you can give them, even if it's just a stylus pen that they can use on their tablet, something that they can actually get use out of. We gave out this year at one of our conferences that we attended. We were giving out cell phone holders, little cell phone stands that have a dry erase whiteboard backing, so you can put notes on them and things like that. It's a useful little tool. You know that anytime somebody comes to that student's dorm room or goes to their desk at their future employee, they're going to see your logo there. So that's the kind of giveaway that makes sense and actually provides value and isn't just going to go straight in the trash.
Okay. Another question is, I mean, you brought this up earlier, but what are some good questions to ask students when they're just first coming up to your booth, knowing that they're probably a little anxious or nervous and they maybe don't know how to break the ice? What are some tips you have on questions you can ask them, just kind of warm them up before you dive right into a conversation about their academic and experience and things like that?
Sure. No, that's really interesting that you talk about warming them up, because I think all too often recruiters, even when they're going to on-campus info sessions, they take that mindset that they are always screening and that they're always trying to get the top talent and screen out the people who aren't good enough. And there are a lot of jobs, engineering jobs are a good example, where the face-to-face interaction isn't necessarily a key part of the day-to-day. And sometimes they draw an audience that might be a little more shy. Getting them to loosen up is absolutely vital. And so, things you can do to make them feel comfortable. You can ask them, things about, what clubs they participate in on campus. What are some of the things that they enjoy doing around campus? What are some of the classes that they're taking? What are the classes are they getting the most out of? Are they doing any work of their own right now? Do they have something that they're really passionate about that they're working towards? Things that get them talking about themselves, because that's how you get people to open up, is to get them talking about themselves. And I think you can do this in interviews as well, but I think in an interview setting, you're more thinking that you're putting the candidate on the hot seat, and you're not thinking as much about putting them at ease. Whereas an on-campus event it's hectic. There's just tons and tons of people everywhere. It's a zoo. There's, like you said, anxiety and tension, and all these kids are dressing up in nice clothes that they don't normally wear, and they're just uncomfortable. So really making them at ease and asking them about themselves is, I think, the key.
Okay, so final question. It's kind of a two-part question. So it's sort of like worst-case scenario, but two versions of it. So you have one scenario where you're at a career fair and you have so many people there. It's shoulder to shoulder, standing room only. You couldn't possibly talk to all the candidates that are coming your way or coming up to your booth. How do you handle that? Because you may not have time to have these one-on-one conversations or questions. So that's the first part of the question. The second part of the question is on the other end of the spectrum. If there's a career fair, you're there, and either it's not well attended in general, or nobody's coming over to your booth to talk to you. So, what are some suggestions you have in both of those cases on how you would handle that extreme?
Obviously, the former is a little bit more of a first-class problem. You're fortunate if you've got people lining up, but there's always a concern that the people towards the back of the line might be the ones you really want to talk to, and so that you do have to be maybe a little bit more willing to cut a conversation short. You need to be doing a little bit more screening, so to speak, to make sure that you're not getting involved in 20-minute conversations with every candidate, especially candidates who you don't have an opportunity for. So having a conversation and kind of figuring out whether or not they're truly a potential fit, or they're just kind of kicking the tires. The other thing is those things we talked about, like handing out flyers, or bringing an iPad where kids can sign up and give you, add themselves to a mailing list. Because you may not get to every kid in line. How do you make sure that they connect with you and that they build a relationship with you, and that you've at least captured their email address before they get the chance to walk away? You try as you might, you may not be able to cut every conversation short enough to get to every person in your line. So that's when you have to kind of try to diminish your losses and make sure that
you have at least an email address, and ask people to hand down their resumes, before they actually come up and talk to you, so that you at least have their resume, but that you have some way to follow up with them.
Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, a lot scarier is that proposition of the tumbleweeds and crickets scenario when you're at a career fair where nobody's coming to your booth, or the horror stories I often hear are where your booth is tucked in between two really popular employers with huge brand names, and nobody even sees you hidden between the lines of these other employers. And that's where sometimes you got to make a little bit of noise. Sometimes it's literally and figuratively. Making noise might mean something like shouting people down as you see them walking by. Hey, when are you graduating? Hey, what's your major?
Yeah.
And trying to engage those people and pulling them in as they're walking by. And then sometimes it might be planning ahead for it more. That having giveaways or having something that makes a little bit of noise. A whistle just to draw people's attention. Something to kind of draw attention to you and say, all right, come on in. We're doing a giveaway. Hey, have you entered for our raffle yet? Hey, we're giving away free T-shirts. Even corny stuff like that. It's going to at least make sure that you have some engagement and that you don't walk away with a total loss of some of these events that, unfortunately, are not always well promoted.
Yeah. Okay, thanks, Matt. I think that's it for questions, and I want to thank you so much for sharing your insight with everybody today.
Yeah,
and thanks to everybody who called into our webinar. We did record the webinar today. Tomorrow we'll send you an email with a link to it so you can go back and listen to it again and share with your colleagues. Also, 2 weeks from today on September 9th, I'm actually going to be giving a webinar on-campus branding, so basically how to raise the visibility and engagement with your brand outside of these on-campus events. So what are some different ways that you can have students become aware of your brand if they're not already and engage with you. And we'll be sending, in the same email that we're sending you a link to the recording from today, we'll also send you a link so you can register for this webinar, which is going to be at the same time on September 9th, 2 weeks from today. And then finally, if you have any questions about how After College works or how we can help you promote your on-campus events or help you recruit for your internships and job openings, feel free to visit our website at www.aftercollege.com. There's an employer section on there where you can actually text chat with one of the members of our Talent Solutions team, or you can also pick up the phone and call us. We'd be happy to help you.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody. Have a wonderful day.
Thanks.